Greetings, welcome to Ask George. It's after day one of the first test between India and England at Hyderabad. Good afternoon, George, from England, and your
G'day,
evening.
good evening, good night, whatever. How you doing?
How's it going? All right? Yeah. Well, I need to remind
everything apart from the traffic. The traffic in Hyderabad is something else. I mean,
Right.
wow. The journey back, quite something. You don't want to hear me moaning about traffic. But
I
if
don't
you
mind.
do,
It's interesting,
when people like you, my editors, say things like, tell us what India's really like. It's like a traffic jam. That's what it's like. Do you know my day? I get up and I get in a car and I sit in traffic for over an hour. I watch cricket for ages. Then I come back and it takes more than 2 hours in the car on the way back. Then I'm going to say I go to the gym, but it will be shut. So I'll drink heavily and go to sleep. That's a tour diary for you. That's the actual truth of what we do.
Okay, what's Hyderabad like? Is it how big is it?
How the hell would I know?
Right,
It's huge.
Yeah.
It's about 27 times the size of London, and
Really?
the temperature is gorgeous. It's a lovely temperature at the moment at this time of year. I'm told it gets stinking hot in the middle of summer, but right now it's lovely, and there's lots of lakes, and it looks quite nice. But there's a lot of travelling. I am here to watch cricket after all, rather than. But hey, there might be a couple of days. Sightseeing coming up quite shortly.
Okay, well, we look forward to reading that in your postcard for the Cricketer magazine, but I've just got to do a bit of housekeeping first. And I need to say that we'll be producing these videos from every day of the 5-test series, and you can submit your questions via our social media channels at any time during the test match using the hashtag #AskGeorge or hashtag #AskGeorge. Remember, you can read all of George's exclusives from England's tour of India and more by subscribing to the Cricketer's digital offering for only £3.99. Just follow the link in the video description. There we go.
That was glorious. I mean, so far, people have had an advert of me moaning about traffic. This is gold.
Well, we also at £3.99 a month, of course. I probably need to say to that as well.
That's a bargain.
Yeah, it is indeed. Absolutely. You can read your.
Anyway, sorry. Go on.
You can read your articles in my article, can't we? We had a bit of a run in last week. My article pipped yours, and then this week yours pipped mine, didn't it?
By what was it, 1,000%?
Well, that's true.
He did. So right. Huw sent me. So Huw started this the other day. He sent me a screenshot that said "Bad luck, mate," because one of his pieces had more readers than mine. And today the difference was literally, more than 1,000%, wasn't it? Anyway, but it doesn't matter. He started it.
Yeah. Okay. Let's crack on. Okay. So the first question is from Jack Rule. Is 246 all out in less than 65 overs really a good score when you've won the toss and chosen to bat first?
It's a really great question. And, obviously conventionally we'd say no, and we'd look at the scorecard and we'd see that, 6 or 7 batters got 20 and only one of them got more than 37. And you think that people have got in and got themselves out. But you've got to be careful with these judgments, haven't you? There's always a context. And I thought with huge caveats about not really knowing what a good score was on that wicket, that it was okay, yeah. A bit better than okay, really, even. I thought batting was very difficult. They managed it okay. And, we have seen them do it the other way quite a lot, and it hasn't worked. That last tour in early 2021, this would already have been the second highest score. 246 would have been, they had 8 innings and they only managed to reach that many once. So you've got to put it in that context. You've got to understand that the pitch was turned in a lot. And while Jack raises a good question, and I don't know for sure, I bumped into a few people today and I said, I'm not absolutely sure I understand what's happening in this game, to be honest with you. I thought it was just about, competitive score. And afterwards, by the way, both sides said that. Ravi Ashwin and Ben Duckett both said they thought it might have been slightly better than par.
Right, interesting. It didn't look particularly reckless or anything. I mean, Root was out weekend, wasn't he? But there were some good deliveries there, weren't there? And Crawley got out.
I think we've got to think differently about the sweep. I mean, I think people have thought differently about it for some time. Just remembering Gaul, on that tour in Sri Lanka in 2018, I think it was, and it became very apparent that the sweep, or even the reverse sweep, was actually a safer shot. The cross-batted shot was safer than the straight bat where you're presenting the edge. The difference here was that there was some irregular bounce, which made Root's shot maybe a bit more controversial. But I can't think of an England player who's ever swept better than him, really.
Brilliant. He did never miss it. Yeah.
No, well, he had a couple of anxious moments today, and he was out playing it, but rough with the smooth a little bit, I think. So I didn't have any particular criticisms of the batting. No,
I had no problem with the sweep. I just hate the reverse sweep, but then I'm a bit old-fashioned. Right, next question. Neil Virani it's a bit cynical, this one. Is golf in Dubai that much better as preparation for a tough series than golf in Scotland?
Well, they're in Abu Dhabi, to be fair, to make a pedantic point. Look, they appear fitter than they have done for quite a while. It was really noticeable, actually, just at the first training session. You're like, wow, all of them are thinner, and some of them look stronger as well. I mean, Stokes is maybe the most eye-catching, but they all look trim, and they didn't go into the World Cup, and they didn't go into the Ashes. I thought their fitness in both those tournaments was uncharacteristically disappointing. So whatever they've done, to some extent, has worked. It looks like they've worked pretty hard. We wanted them to have had a warm-up game, and of course, inevitably. What I would say about the warm-up games is, I was on the 2012 tour here, and the warm-up games were kind of rubbish because the Indian sides were generally full of medium pacers bowling at 70 miles an hour. There was, I think, Mishra played the leggy, but he didn't bowl in the second innings of that game. But I wondered at the time, and I wondered at the time whether it actually helped England get into some rhythm. It wasn't exactly preparation for what they were going to face, but they did bat, they did gain confidence, they did acclimatise to some extent to the temperatures and the pitches. Don't know. There might still be some benefits to doing that sort of thing, eh? But we understand the modern world.
Confidence and all that. I'm going to merge the next two questions. Okay. Background noise says, at what point do you take a new bowler getting murdered out of the attack before his confidence is destroyed? And Danny says, is there something to be said for spinners gaining more experience in domestic cricket before having to face the best team in the world at batting against spin? So I think it's, we're looking at Hartley here, aren't we?
Yeah, mainly, yeah. Well, to the second one first, is there something to be said for them gaining more experience? Well, hell yes, absolutely yes. But we know the problems, and we've been banging on about this for 10 years and so, or more. The domestic schedule doesn't allow the championship to be played at times of the season when spinners are brought into play enough. And we're tinkering with things, aren't we? Using the kookaburra and all sorts of stuff. But that's a huge issue. Bowlers not gaining the overs they require to develop. We know that's an issue. The second point, is it a risk, or what stage should you withdraw? A bowler. Stokes gambled, as he does, and it didn't come off today, but it could have done. I don't believe in rights and wrongs in those things. It was just one of his calls that didn't work out. Was it right? Was it wrong? You can't just judge by the results, I don't think. It wasn't either right or wrong. It was just a decision, and it didn't work out, I thought. I would give India a lot of credit. I thought they took Hartley on, and it was a real tough challenge for him, and he's still in it. But yeah, he had a really, really tough day. And there were a few drag downs, but I thought he just about held it together. Just about. Yeah, they came at him hard.
You said he had a tough day. He batted quite well. I think I would have actually gone with Jack Leach, but Ben Stokes then says anybody who says things like that is sort of being captain hindsight. So, it's quite a big call, isn't it? I mean, it let them get off to a bit of a fly, didn't it? But
well, I'd have gone with Root personally, just because left-hander at one end. But I mean, again, these things aren't necessarily right or wrong. You make them right or wrong. And just played outrageously well. So I'd like to give a lot of credit to the Indian batting, actually the Indian play throughout the day.
Oh, yeah. definitely. Well, same subject, spin. Ben Rigdon asks, should England have taken Liam Dawson instead of Tom Hartley?
I mean, my own view is probably, and I think Liam Dawson's a very good cricketer, and did he take 50 wickets at 20, and he scored 800 runs at 40?
Yeah, 40.
And, Hartley, by contrast, took 19 wickets at 44, 45. Rehan took, 9 wickets at 66, I think. These are not good stats. So, yeah, possibly. But let's just be a little bit careful. And I say this as someone who likes and rates Liam Dawson. He's Liam Dawson. Yeah, he's not Gary Sobers. You're not. He's not. We're not going to one day talk about Dawson's ashes. Huh? But he could have been. He could have helped. In the same way that I don't know. I think there are questions about other players. But yeah, and he just to clarify, I did ask him. He wasn't asked whether he was available. There was no contact between him and the selectors. You obviously haven't read my piece there.
If you average 40 with the bat and 20 with the ball and the top flight of the county championship, yeah, you'd like to think that the selectors gave him a good consideration. And I haven't read definitively whether he was asked to go or whether he ruled himself out.
He wasn't asked to go. He wasn't.
He was hinted that he might have a tricky decision to make if he was asked, wasn't he? But
yeah, but they all say that. I mean, Mark Wood said that, yeah.
Yeah.
And then he signed a 3-year contract. So I mean, he would have had a tricky decision but he didn't have to make a decision. The logic in picking Hartley isn't awful. He's tall and he bowls at a decent pace. That's okay. There's similarities with Axar Patel, similarities-ish. So the logic's not awful, but it was a hunch. And the selectors, I know that they have some sort of, and they're right up to point, aren't they? Some sort of reticence about just going on county figures, and they are right. Otherwise Darren Stevens would have taken the new ball in the Perth Test. I mean, and that's no help to anybody. But at the same time, I hope they're never going to get to the stage where they are sort of completely disrespectful about county cricket. And what they've done here is take hunches with players rather than go with the stats at all. Yeah, so I think Liam Dawson's a good player. Personally, I'd have been tempted. But let's not pretend that he's the sort of player that would have had India reeling this evening.
But hunches from the Graham Swan spin camp, maybe. Anyway, yeah. Okay. Pratyush Raj, his question is, what was it a poor call not playing James Anderson?
Well, can I broaden the question? With James Anderson and say Ollie Robinson, I might have been tempted to play Robinson. No doubt, it would have been helpful to have a bowler like Anderson at points when India started their innings on the first evening. There were times when be able to throw a ball at someone who might go for 2 and over and put a bit of pressure back, just maintain pressure again would have been helpful. The game moved pretty fast when Stokes kept Hartley on. And in a low-scoring game, a bowler who's gone for 67 in 9 overs is you're really hemorrhaging runs, aren't you? And it was painful for England. So would it have made sense to pick Anderson? Well, in that respect, yes. But again, it's not a yes-no decision, is it? Anderson's played lots here, played brilliantly in 2012. He's he never lets England down, played brilliantly last time, actually. But it's not like they won games playing that style of cricket and they've gone all in on this other approach. I don't know. I don't want to write it off yet. I would have gone 2 and 2 with the spinners, but I might have done things completely differently. I might have batted Stokes at 3. I definitely would have played Folkes. So you make space for more all-rounders and all sorts of things, but it's very difficult to balance this side without all-rounders.
Has Anderson got his outswing back? Because that's what Derek Pringle was saying. He'd lost that last summer.
He nicked Root off in the nets a couple of days ago, and he bowled him as well, actually. I don't think it was an outswinger exactly. I think he can still swing the ball conventionally. He's just worked out that the wobble seam is much tougher to read, and it is. I mean, how could you read it? It's almost impossible. And he's masterful at it. So
Okay.
look, he made well. There are legitimate questions to ask about James Anderson and his future. What did the average in the Ashes? Was it 80 with the ball? And but what I love about him, what you can't help but admire, is the fact that God, he's trying to get back in 41, all those wickets. He's still hungry for more. I love that about him. And he put a real shift in 2 days ago trying to get selected for this game.
Okay. Right, Alfie says, did the pitch start to flatten a little towards the end of the England innings, or have India out-Bazballed Bazball?
No, exactly. That's what they've done. They've out-Bazballed Bazball. Yeah, they have. I really believe that. I thought the way that Bazball came out this evening was outrageously good. And, he hit the first ball of the innings for 6. This is his first test in India. I mean, he's fantastic. So, a lot of that. Did the pitch... Ashwin reckoned that it started a wee bit damp, which is probably true because there was a wee bit of water in. So did it improve? I don't think it did, really. It changed a wee bit, got a bit slower, but it will do as the ball gets older. I don't think it's going to get easier to bat on. I don't think it's going to die. I think it's going to turn and it will continue to turn and there might be more uneven bounce too, but we have only had 1 day. It's as ever. It's going to be the rest of India's innings is hugely important, isn't it?
Yeah. Well,
England have this huge advantage in batting first, but there is a danger that they might yet bat last. Does that make sense? If India go well past them.
Yeah. Well, we took in Harsh Rathod's question there about Jaswal. So let's go to Shrey next. Does Stokes show his team what he means by Bazball, by taking his time and hitting boundaries when he wants to, not all the time? We saw at Lords last summer, didn't we, against Australia?
Well, his best innings are all like that.
Yeah.
His World Cup final innings, his T20 World Cup, his Leeds heroics, he's best, as nearly everybody is, when he plays himself in, and he did that today, and I thought he played beautifully. He looked a class act, and you'll have seen how much slimmer he looked, and also how much easier. There were none of the winces, were there? When he played forward and then he's struggling to move his leg because it's kind of got stuck in the brace position. There was none of that. So that was really, really encouraging, and he looked a really high class player. I should say hello to one of our regular watchers, Richard Gould, who says he watches every time, presumably when he's trying to get to sleep. So I said I'd say hello.
Hope we'll send him off to sleep. We've got him in the next Cricketer magazine.
Yeah, he won't have got this far in, will he?
Best cue from Tom there. Yeah. Okay. Ravi Gayadpali says, does Ollie Pope have the temperament of a number 3 batter to absorb pressure? He looks like an attacking number 6 from his style of play.
He's a worry. He is a worry. And always a poor innings, wasn't it? I mean, he was lucky to get one. He should have been out second ball, really, playing across the line, playing across against the spin, leading edge just in front of cover. So it's his first innings since what, Lords? So I would cut him some slack. But he is living off a big double 100, wasn't it, against Ireland? And while everyone in the England setup always says, Ollie Pope, definitely playing. He's our vice captain. Ollie Pope, brilliant player. Translate it into runs, eh? Anyway, it was a bad start to the series for him today. And the point about whether he's a number 3 or a number 6 or whatever, I think he could be a number 3. I'd just like him to calm the hell down. I think we're going to agree.
Yeah, I've seen him get 100 for Surrey, and then I watched him resume his innings the next morning. He looked like he was on naught again. He's just terrified. He's a nervous starter, isn't he? I can empathise.
I don't know, because I've seen him play so well. He made a Test 100 in Gqeberka, which I can't pronounce. Gqeberka? Anyway. And he batted for a long time with Joe Root, and he looked the better player. That's quite high praise, isn't it? And that happened a couple of times. He just looks so good. I don't think all the talk about being positive has particularly helped him. I don't think he needed it. I hate it when he skips down the wicket. I just don't think he needs it. He just bad. Just bad.
Well,
we saw people.
We saw him
did it absolutely fine.
We saw him get
Sorry,
caught
say that again.
Lords. We saw him get caught deep square leg at Lords, didn't we? In the classic Bazball collapse last summer, the second test against Australia. I mean, getting caught deep square leg. I mean, that was heinous, wasn't it? I mean, he shouldn't.
Well, I don't know. I mean, there are times when it happens, but that wasn't a particularly brilliant collapse, was it? When they kept taking on the short ball. But yeah, he's. Everyone talks about him as if he's an absolutely integral part of this team. But if Harry Brook were here, I wouldn't have picked him.
Fair enough. Last question.
By the way, I think he was going to play anyway. I think Bairstow would have been the one to miss out. I think. Right. I don't know that for sure.
Crikey.
Folks was playing.
Yeah, no, well, that's fair. But for Bairstow to miss out is quite massive, isn't it?
I think so.
He looked pretty good.
But that shows you, the reason I say that is because it shows you the way that Pope is thought of by the management.
Yeah. Well, vice captaincy.
Right.
Vice captaincy is an asset, isn't it? I mean, it makes you think twice if you're going to leave somebody out who's the vice captain.
Absolutely. And they see him very much as part of the future, which is probably right. And they wouldn't want to do anything to damage his confidence by dropping him or. So there's a lot going on, but you know, when you invest in somebody like that, you want a return on it.
Okay, last question. Mark Shanahan asks, are the Indian bowlers that good, or the England batters, Stokes aside, that bad? They are good, aren't they?
I think I'm going to dismiss the premise because I don't think England played badly, and I don't think it was a bad score. The difference I thought we saw today was that India's spinners are a lot better than England's, and India's batters were able to take on England's spinners, and it came off, and it came off quite easily, really, didn't it? But you know, there's a lot of cricket left to be played in this game. It's definitely not over. There was enough help there for England's spinners to suggest that things could continue to move pretty fast. But I don't agree that England batted that badly. I really don't. But of course, you know, Ashwin Jadeja. I mean, who was it who bowled Bairstow? It was Patel, wasn't it? It was Axel Patel, I think. It's a hell of a ball. I mean, it's museum quality. Put it on a plinth. So, you know, I wouldn't hold that against them at all.
Very good. Right, I think we've run out of time.
Thank you for hosting.
I think we've run out of time. We can't see my train set. I think the time's beaten us. So we'll have to maybe do that tomorrow. Day 2 of Hyderabad.
What? Do what tomorrow? Talk about your train set.
Yeah, it's going to go around in the background. I'll set it all up and everything with a cricket pitch, and maybe tomorrow. Yeah, we'll see what the readers say. See if they want.
I'd go bigger on Honey. Get Honey. He's got a lovely dog, a gorgeous dog called Honey.
Okay, well,
where is she? Where's Honey?
She's waiting for a walk. So readers can say they either the train set or Honey. That's up to them. Anyway, enough of that.
Vote on it.
Day 2.
Vote on it.
Day 2, Hyderabad. Ask George. Do that thing you do. Yeah. And we'll see you tomorrow.
Why are we doing day 2? Why are we doing day 2 now?
Tomorrow,
Let's just press stop record. I'll see you in a bit.
I'll say we'll see you tomorrow, day 2.
I wish I was back in the traffic.
See you tomorrow, day 2. Bye, everyone.